Record. Hi guys, how we doing? My name is Jake Banwert, the president of Baseball and Fast Pitch Academics Midwest.
And I'm Adam Gauker, vice president of Baseball Academics and Fast Pitch Academics Midwest, here to bring an informational video about our program.
Normally we like to do this in person in front of everybody at the tryout. However, we're down in Florida finishing our last tournament, so we at least wanted to get you all of the information prior to attending tryouts either this week for FAM or next weekend for BAM. Going into our mission and vision, giving you an idea of kind of who we are as a program. Our mission is to be a one-stop shop for all 6-tool player development and training. That includes the 5 physical tools of baseball or softball, but also includes mindset, baseball and softball IQ training as that 6th tool. The development is really designed to properly guide and position players for their future in the game, as well as build quality young men and young women of character. Our vision within that is to take players from their starting point or where they are now to where they want to be. And this is accomplished through a lot of different ways for us, primarily through proper programming, hard work, and commitment from both players and coaches, as well as parent support.
As you guys go to a lot of tryouts this year, you're going to have to try to find ways to figure out who you think the best fit is for your son or daughter. So we wanted to highlight a few of the perks for BAM and FAM, just to kind of let you guys know why we think we're a good place for your kids to be. One of the big pieces that we've had, and we've added it in last year, is Dugout Coalition certified coaches. Dugout Coalition is an educational program for coaches and players that helps both coaches and players build their baseball and softball IQs. We require all of our coaches to go through this Dugout Coalition training so that there's a program standard throughout, basically to help provide a consistent message from all coaches within the program. That way, it isn't just the coach for your individual team that's able to help your player. It's all the coaches within the program. It's been a huge benefit to us and just helped us have continuity throughout the entire program of coaching staffs. A big piece of that for your kids will be that not only will the coaches be educated in comparison to other coaches, but the players will also get access to a DC drill portal. There are over 350 online drills for them to be able to have access to this library, as well as pacing guides to help them get better at individual positions. We have an 8-week positional specific training program that basically allows your kids to come in for what we call positional training during the winter time. There's 8 weeks of this, as we said, and basically it breaks it down into every position on the field. So there's not just team practices, but it will basically allow for your players to come in and get specific design training for positions that they're wanting to develop in, not just their primary position, but other positions as well. We'll have 1 hour for corner infielding, 1 hour for middle infielding, an hour for base running, an hour for outfielding, and an hour for catching. So we have that, as well as you will also get a 12-month free Extra Innings walk-in tunnel membership. Your membership at Extra Innings gets you 20% off EI camps, lessons, clinics, and weight room training, as well as 20% off all Wilson, DeMarini, Evo Shield, Louisville Slugger, and A-Tech products. Big piece for us is that Extra Innings membership. We're going to provide you guys the opportunity and a lot of resources to get better. We want our players to be able to have a home during the winter time and throughout the year to be able to go in there and work on those skills. So you're able to walk into the facility at any time. If there's an open tunnel, use that to your discretion and as much as you want. 12-month free Win Reality access at EI. We will have Win Reality machines at the facility that the players will be able to use. 10+ hours of baseball IQ and softball IQ training resources, where we will, as coaches, lead online classes to help raise your players' baseball and softball IQ, at the end of which they will be tested to be able to provide them a score that will be able to be reflected for them for recruiting down the road. Also just a baseline for us to help improve what they need to improve on as far as the knowledge standpoint. 10+ hours of mindset and peak performance resources. Free injury checks through MyoFit. We'll break this down through our partnerships here later on, and discount through all the partners that you'll see on the next page.
So going into our partners a little bit, Adam did a great job explaining Dugout Coalition, that being both coaches certification and training, as well as in-game resources for data tracking, and then player drill portal as well to be used throughout the year. We are the only Indiana baseball softball program that is in the Wilson Premier program. So that means that we are powered by DeMarini. That's where some of those discounts come in with all Wilson products. Like Adam said, Wilson, Evo Shield, DeMarini, Louisville Slugger, A-Tech, 20% off of everything through that. And you might see at some games or tournaments the sleeve patch that breaks down the Powered by DeMarini that breaks down that programming a little bit more. We're partnered with Always Grind 365, which is a data tracking tool that we use. Essentially, it's notebooks, either hitting or pitching notebooks for all players. We use their hybrid notebook to give players resources to track pre and post training, as well as pre and post at bats and in games. It really gives us a good feel for what players are doing and how to really own our process to improve in the future. MyoFit Indy is a new partner for us. We're really excited to bring them in. They do a lot of individual care for athletes, such as cupping, such as dry needling, a lot of different things, both on the injury prevention side as well as the injury recovery side. Players will get free injury checks there. They'll also get discounted rates for any injury usage that they're going there for that recovery process. Inner Circle Baseball for us is in the back of Extra Innings. It's a arm care and overall velocity training program for both baseball and softball overhand throwing. A lot of our young players love to do that. Between the ages of about 10 and 14 is ideal. High school age on the softball side especially has been really, really beneficial. So we'll get you guys schedules and everything for that. Extra Innings Indy South is our indoor home. On the softball side, our outdoor home is Center Grove Lassie League, where all practices will be. They're our partner there. And then from the recruiting side, both BAM and FAM partner with NSR, National Scouting Report, where we will have quarterly metric camps where you guys will be able to come in and get different data and metrics and be able to track those over time to see improvement, as well as blast those out to different schools and help you with contacts in that regard to really push our players into that next level of playing in college.
Yeah, all those partnerships are strategically chosen to try to make ourselves the most resourceful program that we possibly can be. And that has helped lead us to the program growth that we've seen the last few years. At this point, has led us to 21 BAM teams, ages from 8 to 18. And then we have 15 FAM teams with the same age groups, ages 8 to 18 as well. And Jake's going to break down the pricing for this.
Yeah, so looking at pricing, a lot of this has to do with the different resources that we have. We love the value that our pricing brings in regards to the resources that you get. If a player is to actually utilize the full program, use walk-in tunnels, use your discounts, this will absolutely be worth it. If you're a player or a family that's really just looking for uniforms and to go play games, then this probably isn't the right program fit for you. We're looking at $1,000 for 8U and 9U, and that progressively increases on the BAM side. All high school ages are the same at $2,250 except for 18U because it's a little bit different of a program, just a shortened season, really helping our players just invest in and get ready to go play in college. On the FAM side, it's a little bit less expensive. Some of that's based on coaching and tournament costs overall, but you're looking at $1,000 at 8U up to $1,750 at those high school ages with those different levels written for you to be able to track that. The only big thing to note up front is the uniform pack is separate. What we do is we do 2-year cycles on uniform. So this is year 1. So you're coming in at a good time where basically whatever uniform package we choose this year will be the exact same package for next year. So players who still have uniforms that are in good condition, pants that fit, anything like that, what it allows us to do is help families save money on the uniform cost rather than having to purchase the exact same thing a year after.
Next thing we want to go over is our program expectations for parents, coaches, and players. We like to be upfront about a lot of things at the beginning, just so you guys can know what we're all about and what to expect from us, but also so we can set a good precedence for anybody that is new to the program. Anybody that's been here for our program with our program for a long time can tell you that we're pretty proud of our culture and the things that we bring. And I think a big part of that is just because we make these things upfront, aware upfront. We'll go into larger detail about these things later on throughout our mental training aspects. We will have a presentation that's specifically geared toward parents to let you guys know exactly what to expect and some further rules and things that we want you guys to be doing at the fields and at the facility. But just to sum things up a little bit here, as parents, your number one thing is to support your players. Support your players, whether or not they're your son or daughter or somebody else's. Make sure that we're talking in a positive light. Be a fan. You guys have dropped your players off and brought them here and paid us to be the coaches, and we'll go through our expectations of that and what you can expect from us. But the biggest thing for you guys is to make sure that you have that separation of parent and coach, and just allow yourself to be parents and be a fan. We want to invest in their future. We say that in a very serious fashion. We understand that travel baseball and softball do cost a lot of money, and we pride ourselves on being a very resourceful program that uses that money to the best possible, in the best possible way for your son or daughter to make them better at baseball and softball. Obvious ones here are: do not talk to umpires, do not talk to coaches of the other team in the stands, and do not create drama. The last thing that we want is someone associated with our logo, causing a scene or creating some sort of disturbance that we end up finding out about later on. We have a good culture, and as long as everybody's on the same page about that, we can continue to have that going forward. Jake's going to break down expectations of coaches.
Yeah, when we look at parents, the only thing I have to add is, we firmly believe in the Matheny Manifesto. If you haven't had a chance to read that, you can Google that and get it right away. But basically, it just breaks down that there has to be a separation, right? At the end of the day, we are going to empower coaches to do exactly that, to coach their players in both practices and games, to invest in the strategic side of the game, and to really build those relationships. But that only happens at a high level if parents give us the grace and the freedom to do that. So our thing that we'll tell you is we will not get in your car after and try to be your kid's parent if you don't come into our dugout and try to be their coach. Let's keep those separate, and everybody will have a really, really good year. So looking at what we expect from our coaches, one, before any spring game, every single coach will be certified through Dugout Coalition. There's some wiggle room in the fall as they're going through that certification. They'll complete that over the winter, and then in the spring, they will not be allowed to coach unless they've passed that final exam. Coaches are here to advocate for their team. Sometimes that means, getting on umpires. Sometimes that means, standing back and letting their team kind of figure it out on their own based on age group. But their job is to position their team in the best way possible for success. Okay, we're here to develop your son or daughter. So that's both on a physical baseball or softball side, in the skill development, but also in the mindset development and building confidence and building the ability to bounce back and personal believability, and building character of who they're going to be as an adult as they grow up, and what our expectations are and what we model as coaches. It's strategic coaching. It's understanding percentages and understanding game situations and understanding our own individual rosters to strategically put our guys and girls in the best possible position to win any game that they're a part of. And it's here to build relationships, right? At the end of the day, probably a very few of you that end up playing professional baseball or softball. Our job is to build relationships and give them another voice that they can really count on and invest in as a positive influence in their life.
As far as players, the simplest and most important thing that you can do for us is invest in our culture. Our culture is not something that we waver on. We continue to build and adapt to make sure that we are providing the best thing that we can as coaches for you as players. The most simplest thing you can do is invest in that as well and buy into that. A big thing for us is that we will never ask you to do something as a player that we are not willing to do as coaches. So you need to make sure that you're investing in the culture and also utilizing the programs to the best of your ability. As we said before, we pride ourselves on being the most resourceful organization that you could possibly play for, but that does not mean that we can do it for you. We will bring everything in front of you and allow you to make your decisions about what part of our programs you take advantage of. But we can promise you that if you do that, you will be using it to its full effect and putting yourselves in the best situation to be able to get to where you want to go. Give your best effort 100% of the time. That doesn't just mean on the field. That means making sure that when you're in the facility, even if you're on your own using your membership and you don't have a coach in front of you, making sure that you have a plan in place to make sure that you're utilizing your time to the best of your ability and giving your best effort. If you actually have goals in this game outside of just playing it, then you need to make sure that you as yourself are also investing in your development and not just relying on just the coaches to do that. A big part of that is what you do for yourself as well. Willingness to learn, willingness to be able to be coached. What we will tell you as coaches, I can promise you, is the most educated opinions and the most up-to-date knowledge within the games of baseball and softball. So you have to have a willingness to learn and understand that just because you got taught something in the past doesn't mean that it's necessarily right. Even if it is right, there may be a new or better way to be able to do those things. Having a willingness to learn and understand that all of our coaches are invested in you as players and not just the players that are on their roster. Trust your training. We all often say that in games, it's not that you rise to the level of the moment, it's that you sink to the level of your training. Okay, you will have the opportunity to put a ton of hours in with the program throughout our winter program, but as well as putting in as much time as you can using your membership and at home. If you just trust those skills that we give you throughout the year and let those things hopefully translate over time onto the field, things are going to go really well. And that's going to make number 6 the easiest thing in the world, is to have fun. It is a very difficult game, as we've all seen, but we try to make this as much fun as we possibly can within our organization. Even with all the work that we require and all the expectations that we have, if you put fun at the front of everything, we're going to be able to be very successful on and off the field as players and coaches. The best part about these parent, coaches, and player expectations is that all of these things are outlined in parent, player, and coach contracts that everybody must sign. Those things will be outlined if you're lucky enough to have an offer on the team at our organizational signing day. But those expectations are all outlined for players and for coaches and for parents. That way we are all on the same page and we are all investing in the same thing here.
Our goal when we started this program was to bridge the gap between exposure of players and development of players. There's a lot of travel programs out there that are very, very good at one or the other. There's very few that place an emphasis on both developing their own players while getting them the college exposure that they need to move on to the next level. We really want to be great at both. And we believe that we're doing a good job of that. That only happens with coaches that buy into our program, with parents that allow us to train players, and with players that are bought into understanding that it's going to be a grind, but a willingness to have fun in that grind and to put in that time and effort to continuously improve and position themselves in a spot to be recruited. We're really excited that you're attending tryouts. We wish everybody the best of luck. We will be available for any questions, as well as the coaches of those individual teams, as well as Kathy Richards, the director of softball operations, Coach Jake Wycliffe, the director of upper age baseball operations, Coach George Boots, the director of lower age baseball operations. If you have any questions, please reach out. We would love to chat. And like I said, we wish everybody the best at tryouts, and we will be in touch soon.
Good luck.